made serious revelations of how corrupt the institution has become. There could be allegations, Madam Speaker, when some of us spoke to this matter during the budget of 2022, we were vilified, victimized, and called all sorts of names. Is Her Honor the Vice President in order to be mute when the institution that is supposed to fight and champion the corruption fight in this country is deeply divided between the board and its management, to be quiet? Madam Speaker, I seek your indulgence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Lumezi. This issue of ACC and what Dr. Kaba has written has been making rounds. And I recall that sometime, is it last week, Honorable Member Fonkana referred to it and I asked him to put in a question, but he has not done so. But at the rate things are going, or it was Honorable Member Fompika, I believe the members of the public are entitled to know what is happening. And also the government to clear the air, to tell the people what is happening. So Her Honor the Vice President can come back to the House on Thursday to deliver a ministerial statement on this matter, to tell the people of Zambia what is happening, and in another way the government also to clear the air on what is happening at ACC. The next Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the question is directed at the Minister of Energy. Madam Speaker, I know it may sound tedious, but this is a new revelation by the Botswana government that 49% of the Botswana government, the energy sector, is being supplied by the Zambian government. And of course, the South Africa has also indicated they are importing power from Zambia and DRC, Namibia. And to make the matters worse, Madam Speaker, the Chief Executive for Zambezi Water Authority did issue a statement, both in print and the electronic media, that the Kariba has not run out of water. It is the overuse of water by the Zambian government, because they are exporting power that has resulted into Zambian people to suffer the prolonged load shedding. Yeah. So, Madam Speaker, despite the President directing the Minister to cut the export of power to other countries, just on Saturday, Botswana confirmed 49% of energy coming from Zambia. Yeah. Is the Minister in order, Madam Speaker? I seek your guidance whether is in order to disregard the presidential directive and endanger the lives of Zambians who are suffering prolonged load shedding. A lot of people have lost employment. This is because of that. I seek your guidance, Madam Speaker. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Member for Pambashe. This issue of energy, drought, importation of power has been on the floor of this House on a number of occasions. I would suggest, Honorable Member for Pambashe, you put in a question, then the Honorable Minister can answer it once you submit the question. The last one, Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My matter goes to the Minister of Water and Sanitation. Madam Speaker, the Minister early last year came to this August House and delivered a ministerial statement in which he announced the award of more than 1,200 boreholes throughout the country. Madam Speaker, the situation at the moment is that most of the contractors, despite being paid the money by the government, they have failed to honor their contractual obligations. For example, in Chama, we were awarded 24 boreholes for Chama North, Chama South, in Chasefu and several other constituencies. These contractors have not been able to drill these boreholes despite receiving money. And the President has declared the drought situation as an emergency, meaning that all efforts must be put in place to ensure that our people have access to water and also use water for irrigation for food security. Is the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Madam Speaker, in order to keep quiet without coming to this August House to update the nation why these contractors have failed to honor their contractual obligations, because most of our people are suffering, they can't have access to water, and members of parliament are being blamed. So I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Chama North. Are those calamatic specs or sunglasses?
Madam Speaker, an eye operation. Yes, so trying to prevent sunlight, so that's why I'm wearing them. Thank you.
Okay, I thought you were seeing in the future, and the future is very bright. So thank you very much, Honorable Member for Chama North. If you have checked the order paper, there is a question touching on issues of water. Probably you put in a question, because if the Honorable Minister had come and made a ministerial statement, and in terms of, you know, the procedures in terms of following up on whether what the Minister undertook to do has been done or not. So please put in a question or take advantage of the question that is on the floor of the House today to ask for points of clarification. Thank you very much. That concludes urgent matters without notice. We go to the next item on the order paper. Question for oral answer under Standing Order 82. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 386.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, Acting Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Minyanzulu, MP for Nyimba, to ask the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation 3 questions. A, whether the government is aware that Nyimba and Chama districts have been experiencing erratic water supply in the last 3 weeks. B, if so, what the cause of the erratic supply in the 2 districts? And C, what urgent measures are being taken to prevent an outbreak of waterborne diseases and loss of life? Madam Speaker, the government's response is as follows. In response to the question asked by Mr. Minyanzulu, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Nyimba Parliamentary Constituency, I wish to inform members of the House that government is aware that Nyimba and Chama districts have been experiencing erratic water supply in the last 3 weeks. B, the cause of the erratic supply in the 2 districts is due to reduction in borehole water yields, hence affecting water supply in the districts and the province at large. C, the urgent measures being undertaken to prevent an outbreak of waterborne diseases and loss of life include for Nyimba. 1, the utility is currently rationing water supply to about 7 hours per day to ensure the availability, clean and safe water is supplied to the people of Nyimba. Number 2, the ministry will construct Kalambakua Dam in Nyimba district with a capacity of 70,000 cubic meters of water for animal watering and household use in the rural parts of district, which will benefit 13,089 animals and 1,200 households. The dam is expected to be completed by December 2024, with a cost to be determined once the contractor is procured, in line with the drought response plan being implemented by government. 2, the ministry, through Eastern Water Supply and Sanitation Company, is in the process of drilling and equipping 2 industrial boreholes powered by solar energy by October 2024. This project aims to increase the water supply from, just a moment, from an average of 5 hours to 10 hours daily. The utility is currently in the process of procuring the contractors for this work in line with the drought response plan. Madam Speaker, for the long-term measures, the Ministry, through the utility company, plans to expand the water reticulation system by constructing a new elevated storage water tank with a capacity of 750 cubic meters of at a higher elevation. This will cater for new areas and increase the capacity of the pipe systems to cater for increased demand. The cost estimate for expanding the system and increasing the capacity of the pipe system is about 30 million kwacha. The project will be implemented once funds are made available. 5. The Ministry, through the utility company, has undertaken feasibility studies and preliminary designs for the improvement of water supply in the district, which will be implemented once funds are available. For Chama District, 1. The utility is currently rationing supply to about 5 hours per day to ensure all households receive some water. The Ministry will construct Mpala Hill Dam in Chama District, which will primarily be used to water supply, which will benefit approximately 28,000 people. The dam is expected to be completed by December 2024, with an anticipated water volume of about 1.6 million cubic meters. The project cost will be determined once the contractor is procured. 2. The Ministry, through the utility company, is in the process of drilling and equipping 2 industrial boreholes powered by solar energy by October 2024. This project aims to increase the water supply from an average of 5 hours to 10 hours daily. The utility is currently in the process of procuring contractors for this work in accordance with the drought response plan. Madam Speaker, number 4. As long-term measures, the Ministry, through the utility company, plans to construct a surface water treatment plant and associated works for water supply, as the current underground water source are highly unreliable. Madam Speaker, submit.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. Honorable members, as we ask questions, let's be straight to the point. Let's not debate, because I've seen that there are so many indications people want to ask more questions. So if we are precise to the point, we will be able to allow more questions to be asked. We start with the Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Before I ask that question, Madam Speaker, I want to put it on the record that I raised I think last week, the matter with urgent matter without notice over the situation in Chama.
Honorable Member for Chama North, I've just guided us. Let's just ask the question. You don't need to debate. We heard what you said earlier on the Speaker, urgent matter without notice that you wanted to raise, and I had guided that you can take advantage of this question to ask your question. So proceed.
Well guided, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for that response. Indeed, the challenges of water in Chama district is a result of prolonged load shedding. And now my question to the Minister is that the Minister is aware that ZESCO runs standby generators there. But what is happening is that once the whole country is load shedded, ZESCO is not running those gensets. Meanwhile, ZESCO has got diesel. So are you planning to ensure that when the power is load shedded, ZESCO should be able to run those diesel generators so that our people do not starve in terms of access to water supply. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Water, Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Mtachal. Madam Speaker, I did indicate in my submission that the issue of erratic water supply in Chama is due to the water levels, low water levels in the boreholes, and has nothing or very little to do with load shedding. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you agree with me that a good statements come from the ministers usually for Nyimba, they don't come to flourish. The people of Nyimba will be very glad if Kalambakua, which is 35 kilometers from Nyimba, will be constructed by December. We will come here thanking you, Minister, for that project because it has taken time for it to be rehabilitated. Minister, Mfumbizi water point for Eastern Water. There is no low water in the bores. My question is on the immediate measures which hasn't been answered. You have taken us to October. And my question, which the people of Nyimba are asking, is it so difficult, Minister, that the water bores, the bores which were suspended by Eastern Water and Sewerage, can be people can start using them? Because what happened when Eastern Water came into Nyimba, there was very little population in the district, and when they came in with that project, they shut all the old bores. The question the people of Nyimba asking, why is it so difficult for Eastern Water to rehabilitate and open up the old bores which they closed? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Water, Development and Sanitation.
Madam Speaker, I think that is a technical question whereby we feel that there could have been reasons why the utility company decided to close these bores. Probably they were contaminated, or there is not enough water in these boreholes, I submit.
The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Lundazi a chance to ask a follow-up question to the Minister. Honorable Minister, in your response, you have indicated that, in actual fact, the whole of Eastern Province is having a challenge with water. Surely, Lundazi has also not been spared. However, I wanted to find out, is your ministry considering bringing a dredger so that it can be able to remove some of the weed which has covered most of the rivers and reducing the amount of water, especially that particular one which has affected the people of Lundazi and it goes up to Chama? I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Water, Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable. Madam Speaker, this has just come to me about the presence of weed in these rivers, and I'm sure I'll be able to pass on this information to the substantive minister so that the ministry can look into this issue. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, in your first response to the question, you indicated that
sorry, Honorable Member for Chinsali, there is an indication for a point of order from the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. What's the point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I rise on a very serious point of order, pursuant to Standing Order number 71 of our new standing orders. Madam Speaker, it's a tradition in this House to be courteous and also praise your colleagues if they have done something well. Is the honorable member for Chinsali, in order to remain quiet and start asking questions as if there is nothing that happened in his neighborhood, where we did a double crop in Inakonde? Is it in order not to praise us and congratulate Honorable Mubanga and Honorable Mutati for the job well done, for winning 2 by-elections for the first time in Muchinga province? Is it in order not to praise his neighbors, Madam Speaker? I need your serious ruling.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the honorable member of Chinsali wanted to say congratulations, but he was so much taken by the question that he wanted to go straight to the business of the day. So since you have reminded him, I'm sure he use his discretion to either congratulate or not to congratulate. But Honorable, the Minister of Small Scale, is just sitting in front of the honorable member, so I'm worried about his security there. Honorable member for Chisali, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Minister of Home Affairs has done well to remind me. Allow me to congratulate you, PND, for winning in Nakonde. Madam Speaker, in the same vein, allow me to condemn you, PND cadres, who stole a ballot box in Chirundu. Madam Speaker, allow me also to congratulate the independent councillor who won the ruling party in Chirundu, Madam Speaker. Because it was not easy, considering that that is the constituency where the Minister of Education comes from. It is very embarrassing and he needs to work hard, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much. Madam Speaker, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to ask a question to the Minister of Water and Sanitation. Honorable Minister, in your response, you mentioned that you plan to undertake an extension project of the water reticulation system project, which will cost about 30 million kwacha in Nyimba. Then you indicated that you are going to implement this project when the funds are going to be available. Is it possible you can give an indication to the people of Nyimba when the money is likely to be available? Is it going to be this year or next year or in 2026? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as in my statement, I cannot commit to any date, but this is an active project, and as soon as the funds are made available, we should be able to provide the required service. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I remember that we are only receiving, I've just come from Nyimba now, we are only receiving water for 2 hours a day, not the 7 hours. Nyimba's got a reservoir of 500,000 cubic liters against the population of over 50,000 in the CBD of Nyimba, meaning the water is not enough. And Minister, looking where you've put the reserve tank, yes, I agree. You've said we're going to, a new one will be at a higher levels where we're going to put the tank. Now, looking at where you've put the tank and the distance from the pumps to the reserve tank, don't you think, or do you have plans to give us addition 4 new bores, industrial one, not the 2 we are talking about, because the 2 already we've provided through CDF. So we need extra 2. Are you able, we need extra 4. Are you able to give us 4 more industrial bores so that we can cater the people of Nyimba, so that we stop this problem we're having in the district today, where people are sleeping, they are queuing up at the filling stations 24/7. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I've got a list of tanks and their capacities and hours that they are supplying. The average works out to be 6.7. I'll give you an example, like the airstrip. It has got connections of 3,900, approximately 3,900, and it is supplying about 8 hours. Okay, I'll go to the hospital. The tank is connected to 72 beneficiaries, and about 8 hours of supply is being given at that particular. Prisons, 352, 6 hours. Samora, 2,700, it's giving 6 hours. So, Madam Speaker, the request of additional bores will be looked into, and I'll pass on this information, since we are currently going to do a lot of bores throughout the country, and I'm sure Nyimba will be accommodated as submit.
Thank you. I would encourage the Honorable Member for Nyimba to engage the Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, because it doesn't help when the Honorable Minister is trying to explain and answer the question. The Honorable Member has already got answers to his own questions. That won't help us, and it won't help the people of Nyimba. So, Honorable Member for Nyimba, please do engage. I'm sure you want water. The Honorable Member for Chipiri.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, I want to find out, because previously, I think last year, we were given some bores in each constituency, including Nyimba. Now, there are some areas where they have not done so, the contractors that you had given contracts to drill the bores. I want to find out whether these contractors were paid in full, and they have failed to execute the mandate that you were given through your contract. Thank you.
Thank you very much. White and black go well together. The Honorable Acting Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, that I don't have information as to whether contractors were previously contracted, were paid or not, and the status of those bores are submitted.
Thank you. The last one, Honorable Member for Kalulushi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Acting Minister, just last week, the Minister of Health reported that there's an outbreak of COVID and influenza. And I think a month ago, this Parliament was told that there's an outbreak of cholera in Eastern Province. Nyimba, like many other constituencies, is facing a lot of challenges in terms of water. Minister, in this crisis, especially a health crisis, are you, as a government, figuring out the soonest possible measures in terms of service delivery, that is for water? Because from your answers, Minister, everything that you have given is futuristic. But we have a crisis, we have an emergency. Is government, my question to you, Minister, also thinking of probably investing in water bowsers for the immediate, so that people can have safe drinking water, even for cleaning, especially in a crisis like influenza, COVID, and cholera? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Acting Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The futuristic response we are talking about is that there is a drought response plan already in position, and all areas that are affected by drought will soon be attended to. I submit.
Thank you. Questions for oral answer under Standing Order 80. The Honorable Member for Mbabala. The Honorable Member for Bawala. The Honorable Member arrangements. Any Honorable Member to ask the question. The question lapses in accordance with our standing orders. Notes of motion. The Honorable Member for Bwengwa.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House do adopt the report of the Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources for the third session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on 10th of July 2024.
Thank you. Is the motion seconded?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Seconded by the Honorable Member from Mfuwe. The question is that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources on the carbon markets and trading in Zambia, opportunities and challenges for the third session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 10th July 2024. Any debate? The Honorable Member for Bwengwa.
In accordance with Standing Orders 209A and 2010 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024, the committee considered a topical issue on carbon markets and trading in Zambia, opportunities and challenges. Madam Speaker, during its start, the committee interacted with various stakeholders who tendered both written and oral submissions before it to augment its findings. During the deliberations, the committee undertook a local tour to Lusaka and Eastern provinces. The committee also undertook a benchmarking tour to Morocco. Madam Speaker, considering that members have acquainted themselves with the contents of the report, allow me to comment only on some of the salient issues that emanated from the committee's engagement with various stakeholders on the topical issue. Madam Speaker, for the benefit of the House, I want to begin by defining what carbon markets and trading are. Carbon markets are trading systems in which carbon credits are sold and bought. Companies and individuals can use carbon markets to compensate for their greenhouse gas emissions by purchasing carbon credits from entities that remove or reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Madam Speaker, from outset, I want to state that carbon markets are a critical tool in our global effort to combat climate change and its adverse effects. In this vein, it is imperative that as a nation we understand and leverage the opportunities that exist in carbon markets to achieve our own climate goals. Madam, one of issues the committee wished to find out was the adequacy of the legal framework on this matter. The committee is appalled to learn that the country does not have specific legislation to govern the carbon market and trading activities. The committee is of the view that without a robust and specific legal framework, the country and local communities will continue to lose out on revenue. However, the committee appreciates that the existing pieces of legislation only focus on forest carbon and do not consider soil carbon as well as other forms of carbon. Madam Speaker, as I have already mentioned, the committee undertook a benchmarking visit to Morocco, where it learned that Morocco has put in place detailed policies aimed at reducing carbon emissions and provided a roadmap with strategies to further reduce carbon emissions by 2050. In view of this, the committee urges the government to urgently enact climate change legislation to establish a comprehensive regulatory framework to effectively manage carbon markets and trading. Madam Speaker, another issue the committee deliberated upon was the limited appreciation of the concept of carbon markets by the key stakeholders. It is disheartening to note that chiefs, technocrats, and members of parliament do not fully understand the concept of carbon markets and trading. This is due to the absence of clear information on carbon markets and trading, as well as how carbon emissions are calculated. As such, it has been a challenge to determine whether or not there has been real reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. In this regard, Madam Speaker, the committee recommends that the government, through the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, should, as a matter of urgency, embark on a vigorous campaign to sensitize all stakeholders about carbon markets and trading projects. This will ensure effective participation from all communities, members of parliament, and technocrats. The committee further urges the government to put in place a mechanism that will standardize the calculation of carbon credits and emission limits. This will help determine whether or not carbon markets are effectively reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere. Madam Speaker, the committee also bemoans a lack of transparency in terms of proceeds acquired from the carbon markets and trading projects. Madam, the committee notes that community members, as well as other stakeholders, are not privy to the total amounts of money that accrue from carbon markets and trading projects and how much is shared by all. Further, stakeholders lamented that sharing mechanisms being implemented are neither fair, transparent, nor equitable, such that individuals in communities are not directly benefiting from the projects. The committee therefore recommends that the government should, as a matter of urgency, put in place mechanisms that will compel implementers of the carbon markets and trading projects to be more transparent, more accountable, and more flexible, to allow participating communities to decide on the disbursement mode of carbon proceeds as well as the conditions attached. The committee further recommends that community members should receive individual benefits which will motivate them to protect the forest and participate zealously in tree planting activities which are crucial in the fight against climate change. Taking everything into account, Madam Speaker, allow me on behalf of the committee to place on record the gratitude of the committee to all stakeholders who tendered both written and oral submissions. The committee also wishes to thank you, Madam Speaker, and the Clerk of the National Assembly for your guidance and support rendered to it during deliberations. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you, honorable members. There is a lot of talking. If we can tone down so that we listen to the debate. Otherwise, it doesn't add value to what we are doing if people are talking, walking up and down. Would the seconder want to speak now or later?
Now, Madam Speaker.
The honorable member from Fuwe.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to second the motion. And from the outset, I want to say that I support the motion fully, and I also want to take this opportunity to thank the mover of the motion, the Honorable Member for Gwengwa, our chairperson, for the manner in which he has moved the motion. Madam Speaker, I would like to add on just a few points to what he has already stated. And the observations of the committee were that there were some boundary disputes and forest encroachments. The committee, Madam Speaker, observed that in some instances, traditional leaders were having there was a growing desire among traditional leaders to own forests due to associated benefits. And the committee, Madam Speaker, recommends that in view of this, the committee would like to recommend the efforts of the traditional leaders, and the government should be organized in protecting forests. And also the government is urged, Madam Speaker, to strengthen the capacity of forest guards. And the committee also recommends that government should provide decent salaries for forest guards for better dedication and protection of forests. The second point, Madam Speaker, is that the committee observed that there was low staffing levels of forest officers and sensitization communities. And it is recommended that government should, as a matter of urgency, consider recruiting more forest guards or forest officers to help preserve and sensitize communities on the important role forests play in carbon markets and trading. The third point, Madam Speaker, is the loss of revenue by government. The committee observed that despite carbon markets and trading projects being implemented in the country for 20 years, the government has not been receiving any revenue from these operations. And there's poor management of carbon market operations in Zambia, and as much the country has continued to lose colossal sums of money. Therefore, the committee recommends that a carbon market and trading industry should be established immediately to serve as a center of information which will help to regulate activities surrounding carbon market, introducing an appropriate carbon tax to be introduced. Madam Speaker, may I also take this opportunity to thank you most sincerely for the support you rendered to the committee, and I also want to take this opportunity to thank all the committee members and all the people that came and gave us support. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any further debate? The Honorable Member.
Allow me, Madam Speaker, for comments on the topic and consideration, opportunities and challenges in the area of carbon. Argued, and I wish to state once again, that the moment Parliament conversation, Madam Speaker, people are going to value the importance of Parliament. The topic that we are discussing today, first of all, sounds very scientific. Establish how many people what we are discussing. Madam Speaker, if we are going to do a survey... Honourable members,
let's not interrupt the honourable member who is debating. Otherwise, you debate outside. May the honourable member continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was trying to emphasize a point before I venture into my debate this afternoon, that the topic we are discussing today is extremely scientific. Scientific in the context that any failure to simplify it, Madam Speaker, will render this activity, will render it irrelevant in the context that our people will not buy in. the whole reason why this report has been brought to our deliberations today is to try and simplify the conversation, to make people understand that actually, with these challenges, there are also these opportunities. And Madam Speaker, I'll quickly take August House to on page 7, Madam Speaker, of the report, there are about 4 challenges that have been identified. Number 1, lack of transparency. Lack of transparency, Madam Speaker, and how it is affecting the trading in carbon, obviously, has been highlighted by the chairperson of the committee. Inadequate regulatory framework. Again, Madam Speaker, the committee is basically saying that currently in Zambia, the laws are not adequate. Again, this may not be a conversation for our people, because our people want to understand how do they benefit from this particular activity. And Minister of Green Economy, you are aware that the price that is being offered for carbon trading is actually $10 a ton. Now, Madam Speaker, the people of Mwekera Forest in Kamfinsa constituency, if we tell them, don't do charcoal burning, we'll give you $10 a ton on carbon, they don't even understand how that $10 will be measured. And these are some of the things that have been highlighted. Has the ministry gone into these forest areas to explain how they'll benefit? Because we're trying to discourage people to do what they've all normally been doing. Is the $10 a ton adequate, Madam Speaker? That is what I expected this report to tackle. Because if we don't explain the value to our people in monetary terms, Madam Speaker, I don't see us achieving what we need to achieve. So challenge number 1 to the minister responsible for green economy. We need to negotiate a better price for our people. If we are going to go to Kalabo and tell our people in Kalabo, don't do farming because there's an opportunity for carbon trading. The question that they will ask us in Kalabo is $10 a ton worth getting when I can actually venture into agriculture and make more money? Madam Speaker, the rest of the issues that are in this report obviously may not sound very controversial, but the issue of the price, because carbon trading is about don't do this, we'll give you so much. Now my question is very simple, Madam Speaker. These members of parliament, as they go back to their constituencies, how will they quantify the income that our people will get? How much will they get if we have to convert the $10 a ton on carbon for the simplicity of our people to be able to say, we will not go into charcoal burning, for me to go to Katokamema and tell my farmers that, dear farmers, don't venture into charcoal burning because the Ministry of Green Economy has negotiated a better rate. $10 a ton, Madam Speaker. From where I stand, I don't see the value that our people will suddenly rush to stop doing what they are doing and decide to venture into this very interesting topic. It sounds very interesting, Madam Speaker. The way the report is sitting on page 8, it highlights opportunities. Now, here are the opportunities. Number 1, revenue generation. Africa has the capacity to generate about $15 billion in revenue. Madam Speaker, this is just a figure. It's an exaggerated figure which now has to be simplified for the benefit of the people in Chifubu constituency. Because if we don't simplify this conversation, Madam Speaker, we'll end up having a situation where the ministry on one hand is pulling in this direction. They want people to venture into this activity, but unfortunately, the value will not be seen. My challenge to you, Honorable Minister of Green Economy, apart from what has been highlighted in this report, can you help our people understand the financial benefit? $10 a ton, Madam Speaker, I want to repeat for purposes of emphasis and for those who've been lobbying for this agenda, because I'm aware that there are a lot of people that are interested. So much money is being mentioned that our people can benefit. Can you compromise on the to provide and the that the people are going to get? If it is predictable, Madam Speaker, if our people understand these technical aspects, then it will be easy to bring them on board. Lastly, Madam Speaker, there's a submission in this report, which is your report on page 3, that carbon markets and trading were seen in the context of reducing greenhouse emissions. As I conclude, Madam Speaker, I want to pose another challenge to government. Africa, if we were to compare it with all the countries that have developed, Madam Speaker, if we went into Europe, we went into Asia, the amount of industrialization that has taken place in these developed countries, they are telling us today, don't emit these greenhouse gases. And they are telling us, if you don't do this, we'll give you so much money. Madam Speaker, how is that affecting our ability to industrialize? We need to strike a balance. If we are not going to emit these gases, Madam Speaker, we must see the financial benefit that will come with doing the opposite. My challenge to you, Minister, there are so many conferences that obviously we've attended, all of us, where we are being told, don't do this because it's bad for the environment. When will Africa catch up in terms of industrialization? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Luapula.
Madam Speaker, let me add a few comments on the report from the Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources vis-à-vis the carbon market, opportunities and challenges. Madam Speaker, as a matter of fact, this is a technical subject, but I will give a simplified submission in the interest of clarity. Madam Speaker, carbon market, in simple terms, is trading in carbon credits. And carbon credits, Madam Speaker, in simple terms, is selling or buying permission or permits to be able to continue polluting our environment in order to offset the greenhouse gases that are being emitted. Madam Speaker, what has brought about carbon market and carbon credit? Carbon credit and carbon market, Madam Speaker, has emerged in view of the triple climate crisis which is adversely affecting our planet. The triple climate crisis, Madam Speaker, is climate change, loss of biodiversity, and pollution. Now, for the world to be found in this triple climate crisis, which has been caused by lack of, or should I say, non-compliant to environment compliant industrialization by the global north, the industrialized global north. That is where the problem is. That's how the problem has come to where we are. Where we are, Madam Speaker, is that historical polluters have now showed up with some financial gain in order to continue pollution at the expense of damage to the environment. Zambia, Madam Speaker, has got negligible carbon footprint in this environmental degradation we currently have. Yes, Madam Speaker, in order to make progress, there must be a solution to this malaise which adversely affects Zambia, because triple climate change, triple climate crisis is transboundary. Now, these little funds which are being given for us to start sequestering land and in order for our friends to continue pollution, and as I said, it's transboundary. It will still come back and affect us, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will use a simple global concept called climate budget. Zambia has got a climate budget surplus. our friends in the global north, the industrialized countries, have got climate budget deficit, and they've exhausted their allocation. The global the global climate budget refers to each country is allocated depending on size of the country, the population of the country, among other factors. They calculate how much budget you are allocated from a climate point of view. In the interest of climate justice, all of us in the global south, including Zambia, we are owed money. There is climate debt which must be paid instead of going for carbon credits. The global north must settle their debt to us, Zambia, in form of climate debt. This being a technical subject, Madam Speaker, it's important that in the interest of our sovereignty, we must engage our Zambian scientists and technocrats in developing an approach to this matter. The executive must show some respect to Zambia's scientists and technocrats. Madam Speaker, before I conclude, let me make it clear that what we must focus on is food sovereignty, renewable energy, and industrialization using ancestral land, which has been left to us by our ancestors, using technology which is environment friendly, which is now available. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, Zambia as a country must remain amenable to ideas that will stand to benefit Zambia's generation and Zambia's future generation and can stand the test of time. The future, Madam Speaker, is an active deposit formed by combustion of the past and the present. With these few comments, Madam Speaker, the people of Luapula constituency have added their voice to this discourse, and sincerely thank you.
Thank you very much. It's good to hear from the people of Luapula. They hardly talk. The Honorable Member for Mufurira.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to allow the people of Mufurira to also add their word to this indeed very technical and at some point very hard topic. Madam Speaker, allow me first of all to thank the chairperson who has moved this motion and the seconder and indeed the entire committee. Madam Speaker, just to add to some of the points that the earlier speakers have raised, allow me to just quote from what I've read in this report among the challenges that this carbon market is facing in Zambia and indeed in all the developing economies. On page 7, Madam Speaker, under failure to calculate carbon emissions because lack of expertise, this report says carbon markets have not reduced carbon emissions, but rather encouraged organizations like oil companies to continue production. An example is given of a company called, that's on page 8, Madam Speaker, ENI Oil Industry, an Italian company linked to Comarco project here in Zambia, but had continued to increase oil production and making huge profits while buying carbon credits. Second, Madam Speaker, still on page 8, under the challenges regarding the land tenure and access rights for displaced communities. In this paragraph, Madam Speaker, you will see what the report is saying, that because the areas allocated to carbon markets projects adhered to the restrictions, thereby potentially hindering other economically beneficial activities such as agriculture, infrastructure development, and plantation forest expansion. Madam Speaker, as we consider or as we take our country into this carbon market and carbon trading, we need to question the motive
Order,
behind
honorable
this.
members. Why are we talking across the floor? Even calling each other. This is a house of order. May the honorable member continue.
Madam Speaker, we need to question the motive behind this, this subject globally. Because the industrialized economies have continued to industrialize, they have continued to expand, they have continued to put up industries and factories without considering the damage that is being caused to the climate. They are now coming to us who still need to industrialize, to keep our trees, to keep our forests, and simply sit and wait for a payout to come. When are we going to industrialize ourselves? When are we going to put up infrastructure ourselves? And these land tenures, in this case, for example, there is a land tenure for 30 years, meaning for 30 years you just watch over that land. You cannot uproot, you cannot put up infrastructure, but the payout that is coming for preserving that land is not commensurate to other economically beneficial activities that can take place. So, for the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, let us question how are we going to participate in this without hating our own capacity to grow our industries, to grow our factories, and increase production. Madam Speaker, another aspect that has come out of this report is the lack of transparency. The communities where some of these projects are taking place have bitterly complained about transparency. They actually don't know even how these benefits are calculated. All they are seeing is here is a paycheck, and sometimes these benefits are being calculated in kind. When they were offered training, they are told you have gotten a benefit from carbon trading. Madam Speaker, some of the examples the committee went out to Eastern Province and Lusaka Province, what they found as community benefits: boreholes, a classroom block, a clinic. Madam Speaker, these are the things that we are doing from our own national budget. We are putting up boreholes from our own internally generated funds as a country. Why should we say the community is benefiting because this company has moved into this community and they have sunk boreholes? We are able to do that ourselves. They have built classroom blocks. We are able to do that ourselves. We must talk about bigger and bigger benefits. Huge sums of money have been mentioned in this report. 3.2 million US dollars given to the community. 12 million US dollars given to the community. Madam Speaker, these are huge sums of money, such that where you see it has been spent, there must be transformation, infrastructure, and the economic well-being of the people. Where do you spend $12 million and people are still getting water from the borehole? Where do you spend 3.2 million US dollars and people are still asking for classroom blocks? That is why this complaint of lack of transparency is genuine. And the ministry has a lot of work. The cry for a legal framework has come at a timely, is very timely, Madam Speaker, because we do not have the legal framework even ourselves to guard or to regulate what is happening in the carbon markets. The ministry has a big task. That law is needed. Further to that, Madam Speaker, we need to build our own capacity. Because in here, the people who are coming to assess the carbon credits, the people who are preparing contracts and agreements for the communities to sign are coming from outside, because those are the expertise that the communities have complained about. Without our own technical experts in government, in the ministry, our people will continue signing agreements which they do not understand. It is one of the recommendations here that before the communities can engage into signing these agreements, government must provide legal expertise. Now, the expertise that we need is just beyond legal. Even the technical knowledge to know how do we even calculate these carbon emissions? How do we even calculate these carbon credits? We need to have that manpower. Without this manpower, we'll be seeing people flying in and sit in a hotel 1 week. They have produced a document and give us the quantities. So this is your carbon credit. Here is the money, and off they go. The ministry has a big task, not just to develop the legal framework, but also develop capacity in our own people to advise us and to lead this ministry. You know, Madam Speaker, actually, based on this report, we are told that, in fact, just the forestry sector has potential to raise revenue equivalent to 5.6 billion US dollars. But we cannot raise that money without our own expertise. Those who are coming from outside will just come to mislead and cheat us on the calculations. But when we have our own, we will understand. This ministry has the potential to actually become an income-generating ministry, like the Mines or Ministry of Finance and many others. But we have to be ready to take the course within our own hands. We need human capital. We need the law in place. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to adopt part of the submission by the MP for Luapola and the MP from Mfulira as mine, but I want to delve into this. I was going through the report, and I want to commend the committee because they don't seem to support or to disagree. They are just giving comments, and I want to commend you. Because, Madam Speaker, I had the privilege to superintend over this during the Ministry of Tourism, tour of duty. You find the Western-centric view in this policy. And the Western-centric view in this policy of the carbon trading. You will discover that the carbon emission is not for African continent. And you find the big guys who are the major player in terms of the carbon emission. They are not even members of the COP28. And they are coming to Africa to tell you, don't develop. Let us emit the emissions, the carbon in the environment will come and pay you. That is creating a total continuous dependence syndrome in the African system. And to believe that we can go to Morocco and do a benchmarking tour when Morocco, as clear even in international forums, refused that they are not Africans, they are Arabs. It is demeaning to an African child. It is demeaning to an African government because this is not just with the Ministry for Green Economy. It touches on the Ministry of Commerce. It touches on the Ministry of Mines, the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Energy. Today, Zambia is crying with a number of undeveloped activities. Just last week, Madam Speaker, we are adopting the Convention on Industrialization. But with the implementation of the policies on carbon emission, Zambia will continue depending on the Western, and I don't know whether it is the nature of education or it is the nature of the environment we find ourselves in, and we are told there's nothing good that will come from Africa unless something that is developed by the Western. And then we'll be dancing with our chiefs and said, no, don't encourage agriculture. We need to come and trade with you. And by the way, I've seen you have cited lack of transparency. How can they be transparent, even the implementers and the beneficiaries? They don't understand these things. I hope the minister, you have attended the conferences, you've seen the behavior of the Western, the friends. When you are dealing with the carbon emission, when it is critical, they'll make sure that they'll frustrate you and all the Africans you leave. And then they remain to make decisions on behalf of the whole world. And then we come here and dancing to say, that's why I call these policies, Madam Speaker, the Western-centric theory. It is nothing good for Africa. No. So we need to be cautious. We need to look at things as that which suits the environment in Africa. I want to come back to home. What do we want as a country? What do we want to benefit? Madam Speaker, this brings me back to the big issue of the the stockpiles in the Ministry of Tourism. You go to the world, the animals die by nature of natural death. And the world will tell you, don't sell your stockpiles, your ivory piles, but you need to take care of them. You need to provide security. You need to do that, and then they want to trade, and then they tell you, you must not trade. They come to Africa and tell you, Mukura tree will be described as the endangered species. Don't sell. For you to sell, you must get permission even from CITES. And then we see a lot of African governments, African states, believing and dancing to that and said, yes, that is Western-centric because they don't want anything good that they see. This will give money to Africa and they will become independent. They will not allow you to do that. They'll come up with policies that is going to inhibit your growth. They'll come up with programs that is going to hinder your development. And unfortunately, I don't know, as Africans, we receive and start dancing because it has come from the Western brothers. No, it's not my brother. So, Madam Speaker, Kabone mentioned it is a promotion of injustice among the developed rich and the undeveloped poor. It is the West injustice that they don't want us to develop. They would want to continue emitting. Go to Europe, see the level of industries. Compare to what is in Africa today. And even African states like Zambia to talk about carbon trading. It's about to the integrity and the wisdom of the people. We must be able to stand and say, this as an African state will not accept, to stand on the foot of development. We must be able to stand and compete at the international market. There is no way they would want to continue dumping and ramping on us. Madam Speaker, the former Minister of Green Economy, when he appeared before the committee, I was in agriculture, I said, no, we've signed the memorandum of understanding, so much billion of dollars is coming. I told the minister, hold on, and you need to understand the West. It is just an example I'm citing. They'll come up with something that is too good to be true, to rule your support. Something that is too good to be true, and you think this thing is coming tomorrow. Anything, Madam Speaker, that looks to be too good to be true must raise alarm. It must ring the bell in our mind to say, this we must not do. So, Madam Speaker,
there is
I
an
don't
indication,
know whether I'm
Honourable
supporting
Member
this.
for Pambashe. There is an indication for a point of order from the Honourable Member for Nkana. What's the point of order, Honourable Member?
Madam Speaker, this very important point of order, I'm raising it on the Deputy Chief Whip. This House is about a committee, a very important committee that in fact affects constituencies. When I look, 9% of the members are coming from rural constituencies. Will this House, Madam Speaker, be in order, particularly the Deputy Whip? Will this House be in order to adopt a report when all the members on your right have no single understanding of what we are talking about? Because by indication, Madam Speaker, and by practice, there would have been at least one or two members from your right raising up to debate this very important, but none, Madam Speaker. Are we going to be in order, Madam Speaker, that we adopt a report when they don't understand anything? I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker.
Order. Order, Honourable Members, not which are based on assumption. The fact that there has been indication doesn't mean that the Honourable Members are not familiar with the subject matter. Order, order. Order, Honourable Members, I'm making a ruling. So what I have is that of research on this subject. It's a new subject. Even from the debates, you are not going deep enough. So please, let's do some research and understand. This is a new area. I'm looking forward to hear. He has been in this field. So we'll see how well researched he is and how he understands the subject. Honorable Member for Pambashe will continue. But Honorable Member for Pambashe, as you continue, it is good practice, as the gentleman said today, to button up their jacket. Newly acquired. May the Honorable Member continue.
Madam Speaker, he is also taken in a bit of carbon.
I understand, Madam Speaker, the new cousinship. So I have taken note of your cousinship between us and yourselves. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, Zambia today is a country that is striving for development. The issues of agriculture, the issues of mining, the issues of industrialization, the issues of transport and communication, we can mention. So we need to strike a balance between carbon trading, the carbon emission, and the development needs of our people. That we must be able to make sure that we pay attention to that which we require to achieve as a country. Are we able to? Are we going to sacrifice the environment? Are we going to sacrifice the development? And we must be able to. And we must be able to call each other with our Western brothers. We must be able to call them out and say, look at Africa as an equal partner in the development of the globe. That is the only way we shall have peace, and that is the only way we shall have the equal and just society. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, understand we need proper workshops for us to understand this concept. I was looking at that bench there. I wanted to appreciate Honorable Sylvia Masevo. Among the ministers, Madam Speaker, who fought an organization called CITES. She's the only Zambian, maybe with another one from Zimbabwe, who fought that this country or this continent can get benefit from our natural resources. Today, Madam Speaker, when we talk about carbon trading does not discourage us from industrializing our nation. Industrialize our nation. The countries which are industrialized, like Germany, Madam Speaker, they buy a lot of carbon because the
Honorable Member for. You may continue.
Because they produce a lot of emission. Where we are now, as a country, Zambia, yes, we've got no legal framework to deal with carbon trading, and this is killing us. We are losing a lot. Even ourselves, Madam Speaker, as a country, the Ministry of Logistics, they have a role in their statutes where they say all of us we are paying carbon when we are paying for our taxes. If you ask where that money goes, even the Minister of Finance doesn't know where he has invested that money in carbon. And this is where we're having a problem. We've already started trading as a country. Each and everyone here, Madam Speaker, buys that thing. When you buy carbon at Latsa, that is what the Germans are doing to the Africans. Now, here is a problem. There is no transparent, Madam Speaker, because what happens is that the agent in between the organization in Europe or in America trading with an African country, we don't know how much those people are charging us as a country. As a result, they tell us that they are giving us 55%. Even if you you read in the report to find that they are saying they are giving us 55%. But 55% of what amount? This is why we have a problem. We need to know 55% of what amount. And there is no one in Zambia, even including the Minister of Green Energy, Green Economy, don't understand how much money those people are charging per ton. Madam Speaker, the bigger the tree, the more tonnage it produces. You may wish to know that a bigger bamboo can produce a ton of carbon. But do they pay for that? If you look at some areas, let me pick a practical example of Chipiri where we've got bigger trees. And
there is a point of order, Honorable Member for Nyimba. Honorable Member for Pambasha, what's the point of order?
Well, Madam Speaker, according to our new standing order, Rule 71, the relevant of speech, I'm raising a point of order on the member for Nyimba. Madam Speaker, the report starts the challenges on page 16 up to page 22 before they go to consideration of the action taken report. I am wondering, what is debating, bringing German who are polluting and doing the environment and trading, outside what is in the report. Is it in order, Madam Speaker, to confuse himself and leave the subject matter we are discussing? If he doesn't, want it to be good, he just keeps quiet and it skips him. I think you're seriously rolling, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
He can come and debate.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nyimba was giving examples. He was discussing about lack of transparency in the whole process. That's what I was listening from him. I think let's listen from him because he's been in this field for some time. I recall encouraging members to learn something from him. So let's listen and allow him to educate us. You may proceed, Honorable.
Madam Speaker, I understand he was a Minister of Tourism and he couldn't do what Honorable Sylvia Masebo did. So for me, mentioning Sylvia Masebo,
let's avoid debating ourselves, Honorable Member. You've been guided.
So, Madam Speaker, when we look at what we are doing now, in the first place, for us going to Morocco to Morocco for benchmarking, Madam Speaker, that was not correct for us. Us as a country now, we should be looking at the country which is benefiting more from this business, and that happens to be Brazil. Brazil are giving the European countries and the Americans tough time for them to pay what is due to this country. Madam Speaker, Africa is the lungs for the world. And as the lungs for the world, Madam Speaker, we should benefit what is due. They should give us what is due to us. Now, here's a problem. I know the report states that there are challenges, Madam Speaker, at the community levels, and we haven't benefited much from carbon trading. Madam Speaker, Nyimba is an exception. The members were in Nyimba, and they agree that for the last 5 years or so, we could see where areas where there were no schools, Madam Speaker, we have schools where there were no health facilities, we have health facilities. Yes, Madam Speaker, it's very, you may not understand when we say for us having a bore, it's a plus, Madam Speaker, because we don't have water. A place like Nyimba, it's a dry area. So if this carbon trading gives us a bore, Madam Speaker, for us it's a plus. But are we content with a bore? We are not, Madam Speaker. We need mechanized water systems other than what we are being given now by these traders. Madam Speaker, Comaco. Let me pick a practical example of companies I know, Comaco and BCP, trading in carbon. How much are they contributing? I will tell you, Madam Speaker, that I've seen tangibles coming, the new entrants in Nyimba, Comaco, I've seen tangible evidences that they are investing in our district. And I haven't seen much coming from the other partners of ours who have been in the district for some time. As a result, Madam Speaker, we need to do much as a country. The Minister of Green Economy, we need to sit down now and start looking at this. Madam Speaker, the policy managing this, it's a wildlife act of whatever year, I think 2008 or somewhere there, if I'm not mistaken. These are the policies we are using. And Madam Speaker, we are letting the game ranger to manage carbon. That's how it is at this time. So what is it that we are doing for the last 10 years? We have been having this, people came into carbon market in 2015, 2014. What is it that the administration there then and the administrators now have done for this country, for the country to benefit? Madam Speaker, there is no one to blame one another here. The previous government failed on this one, and we are also seeing, I hope my brother is not also failing on this one. Because as of today, Madam Speaker, we don't have a policy, meaning we've failed. We need to move. So the truth of the matter is, it will never come, Madam Speaker, if we still continue saying it's coming. This is a very important business we need to trade in. And if we're not going to take advantage of this situation now, meaning that we keep on losing and we will lose more. Madam Speaker, if you, the Brazilians now, the Brazil government, they will tell the Westerners that they're going to cut 20,000 hectares because they want to do farming on those or at that portion of land. They will calculate how much money they can gain from that portion of land. And they will tell them, this is what we can gain if we had to develop this place. If they say no, they'll tell us, can you give us equivalent to this, or let's negotiate. And that is where Brazil has reached. Now, the Europeans, I agree, Madam Speaker, but through this parliament, Madam Speaker, I sit a certain organization. Madam Speaker, the COP27, COP26, COP29, whatever to come, they have been duping us as a nation, as a continent. They promised 20 billion to be invested in carbon trading. How much money has been released? Zero. The reason is that as a continent, we don't cooperate as a continent. We've got different agendas, and it's pressure to the Minister of Green Economy and the Minister of Tourism to sit down at that apex at AU and sort out this problem. Because as Madam Speaker, at our parliament, at the Pan-African Parliament, we have a problem because the minister sitting at apex.
You can wind up, Honorable Member, your time is
sorry. Okay, Madam Speaker, sorry for that. If they had agreed, would have moved. Now, because we are not agreeing at the continent level, and it's affecting us as the nation. For today, Madam Speaker, thank you so much, but time has been very short.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Madam Speaker, I would like to admit that this is a very strange topic in Africa and to all of us, including myself. But having admitted that, Madam Speaker, I think it's wrong to start having this conversation from the money end. What I mean, Madam Speaker, is that we are preoccupied of the gain that is not even there. The gain that is not even there is in this case. I think he has rightly pointed out to by Honorable Katotowe, is that what this means is that people are coming to buy carbon credits, and for them in order to get permission to emit carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And this means, Madam Speaker, that emitting carbon dioxide in the atmosphere also depletes ozone layer. And if it depletes ozone layer, it reduces the levels of oxygen in the atmosphere. Madam Speaker, from my grade 9 environmental science, in the atmosphere we have 78% hydrogen and 21% oxygen, and the other gases account for the remainder. And if that be the case, Madam Speaker, it means that this carbon credit, I am yet to touch carbon offset because it's different. It means that what it's bringing is some sort of carbon environmental injustice between the have-nots and the haves. Because of this industrialization, it's actually a realization from those that have developed to some level, and then they want to dupe us. In Bemba, we say Zembaika, which means duping, Madam Speaker, where they want to come to us and say, okay, allow us to be emitting 1 ton of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere so that we deplete the ozone layer, and then you'll be keeping the trees for us as we continue doing this. We have a problem already of fossil fuels
We have already a problem of plastic pollution. We have a problem of many other, including ocean ice in the world. We have those problems. Now, coupled up carbon trading, it is not going to add value to the environment because it's only speaking to one thing, that let the emission of carbon dioxide goes on, and then you should be keeping trees, meaning that it is also providing a mindset for not utilizing our natural resources. Madam Speaker, have in mind the Kyoto Protocol as well as the Paris Agreement on climate change. If you look at how those were tailored, they were tailored. Well, I'm expressing myself. You didn't come. You didn't stand. So let me speak. So.
Oh, the honourable members, restrict yourself to your debate. You may continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When they are how they are tailored is in a manner that it is protecting the interests of the West. Africa is resource rich in terms of natural resources. And one of the issues that we have talked about is the issue of forest ownership and the use of this land for agriculture. Madam Speaker, the conversation should shift. Instead of talking about these foreign protocols and agreements which were made in Paris, we should be talking about at what time do we ban our grass? Why we should protect ourselves of burning the bushes and many other. I have observed from my village that even if you don't burn grass, it will dry up and it will die to add value to the soil. And we are actually grappling with issues of soil erosion and fertility. We have shifted the debate to, and preoccupied with issues, if you have any, Madam Speaker, when I say if you have any, I mean that which do not concern us. The agenda that has preoccupied us when we are talking about carbon credit and carbon offset, it is that of the Western world. It is not our agenda. The stage at which we are, actually in terms of this battle, we are at the infancy stage. And the stage at which we are supposed to be looking at how do we venture into conservation farming or agriculture, how do we take care of our environment, etymology-wise and many other factors. Those are factors that we are supposed to be talking about. Joining an agenda for these big guys who are not even part of this agenda, who are just trying to say we will buy the carbon, it's not for infants like Zambia in terms of development. We need to develop. The 8th National Development Plan, Madam Speaker, talks about agriculture, economic diversification. And one of the areas that it has identified is that of agriculture. Madam Speaker, in this House, we always struggle about fertilizers and so forth, and we argue about the distribution of fertilizers. We should collapse this debate, Madam Speaker, about how do we preserve our grass? How do we preserve our bushes for our own benefit, for production of food? And also, when we preserve that, we are also going to be assured that the levels of oxygen, at least within the parameters of Zambia, we are actually controlled. Contributing to, like my Mbuya from Nyimba want us to believe that this is good trading because it raises money, according to him. But on the other side, on the far end, it is a debate, it is a topic, it is a conversation that is just going to leave us more poorer. They have developed ways in which they should deal with the climate challenges. This particular report, Madam Speaker, is talking about opportunities and challenges. Madam Speaker, the people of Chulubi would like to submit that they have not seen opportunities in carbon trading. They have not even seen serious opportunities in carbon offset, because even the carbon offsets are managed from the agenda, a foreign agenda. They are not managed from the inside agenda. How many of us are dealing in carbon offsets?
Order. There is an indication for a point of order. Honorable Member for Nyimbo.
Madam Speaker, is the Honorable Member is the honorable member for Chirubi in order, Madam Speaker, to ensure that he hasn't seen the benefit of carbon trading. When they have never traded in carbon, how can they see the benefit? Thank you.
Order, maybe by way of guidance, Honorable Member for Chiluvi, please, we do not debate ourselves, and our standing orders do not allow us to impute ulterior or wrong motives. So just debate, and let's see how far you go. You may continue.
Madam Speaker, I am obliged with your guidance. Madam Speaker, when I was talking about opportunities and challenges, I was trying to drive a point that in case the member of parliament from Nimba doesn't know, Chirubi has got a lot of forests, and I can tell him that we have Mutimba Forest, Ruena Forest, and many others that we talk about. But Madam Speaker, speaking for the people of Chirubi, in these all forests, I wouldn't love to be trading in carbon credits, neither carbon offsets, because of the reasons that I've mentioned. Trading in those contributes to depletion of ozone layer. And depletion of ozone layer, Madam Speaker, reduces the 21% that God has given us of oxygen in the atmosphere. I wouldn't like to participate because I don't want to go and face my creator as a person who championed an injustice for the environment, which God created. Madam Speaker, with those few words, I would like to submit that people of Chirubi are against carbon trading.
Thank you very much. I think, honorable members, we should do research on this subject, because I know that sooner or later there will be legislation presented before the House, which we have to enact. And if we have only basic knowledge, we will not be able to do justice to that legislation. The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment will respond.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me take this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to thank you most sincerely for according me this opportunity to contribute to the debate on the report of the Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources on carbon markets and trading in Zambia, opportunities and challenges. Madam Speaker, allow me to also thank the chairperson, the vice chairperson, as well as the entire committee on their work on this important report. I also wish to acknowledge all my other honorable colleagues who have made contributions in debating this report, among them Honorable Kangongbe, Honorable Katotowe, Honorable Mwila, Honorable Chitotela, Honorable Zulu, and Honorable Fuve. Madam Speaker, I've taken note of the many concerns and contributions contained in their debate, and I'll respond as follows. As government, we have taken note, Madam Speaker, of the contents of the recommendations of the report of the committee, as well as the views expressed by honorable members during the debate. In this regard, I will be making comments on these. Madam Speaker, this evolution has also... Madam Speaker, I wish to agree with the committee when they indicate that the carbon market has gained momentum globally since its inception around 2005, following the entry into force of the Kyoto Protocol. It is true to state that the carbon market has also evolved from a purely compliance market at its inception to include the voluntary market, which arguably, Madam Speaker, is enjoying a significant share largely due to its flexibility and broader stakeholder participation. This evolution has also lately been accelerated by the adoption of the Paris Agreement on Climate Change in the year 2015, which has led to the commencement of another stream of the compliance carbon market, popularly referred to as the Article 6 mechanism, as it is provided for under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Madam Speaker, let me indicate from the outset that government is committed to promote and facilitate the smooth functioning of the carbon market in the country. This is to ensure the integrity of the market in contributing to global greenhouse reduction and to that the country, particularly our local communities, benefit from this innovative financing mechanism. That is why, in the year 2006, government put in place the designated national authority, DNA, an institutional framework comprising experts from relevant government ministries and departments, following the commencement of the carbon market in the year 2005. Madam Speaker, my ministry is the secretariat of the DNA. Over the years, we have continued to strengthen the capacity of the DNA as well as to refine its procedures and processes to respond to the extremely fluid carbon market. In particular, and as noted by your committee, government has been very active in the last 3 years, beginning with the formulation of the statutory instrument number 66 of 2021 on the management of forest carbon stocks under the Forest Act number 15 of 2015. In addition, in order to respond to the requirements of the Article 6 carbon mechanism of the Paris Agreement, initially in December 2022, my ministry issued the interim guidelines on the handling of the carbon market and trading in Zambia. This was closely followed in the year 2023 by the issuance of Part 1 of Carbon Market Framework, CMF, for Zambia. Both the interim guidelines and the Part 1 of the Carbon Market Framework provide clear guidelines to carbon project developers and the general public on the required standards and formats of the project concepts and proposals. Madam Speaker, the intentions of government under the carbon market can be summarized in the following objectives. One, to maximize benefits that both government and the local communities can derive from the carbon market by ensuring a fair price per ton of carbon traded. Number two, to provide clarity on the procedures and processes both at the local and global levels to ensure common understanding and enhanced transparency. And number three, to ensure a clear and predictable benefit sharing mechanism which guarantees communities and local project participants their fair share of benefits while enabling project developers or investors to recoup their investment and get a reasonable markup to ensure the competitiveness of Zambia on the global carbon market. Madam Speaker, allow me to now make brief comments on the summary of submissions made by witnesses as reflected in the report. On the observation that carbon market in Zambia is in its infancy and not well developed as it focuses on emission reduction activities, mainly conservation of forests. As I indicated earlier, carbon market globally started in the year 2005 following the entry into force of Kyoto Protocol. By 2006, a year after the commencement of the carbon market at global level, Zambia established the DNA, which commenced review of carbon projects, with the first project registered by the year 2008. Therefore, it is not entirely accurate to state that the carbon market is in its infancy in Zambia, as the country has moved with the market from its inception. As for the observation that the focus of the carbon market is on emissions generated from forest conservation, this is true, and I will give more information about it. It is important, Madam Speaker, to note that Zambia enjoys high potential of reducing emissions largely from the land use sector, particularly from the forestry and agriculture sectors. While globally, the energy sector is the one with the highest potential for emission reductions, Zambia's energy sector is dominated by hydropower. As you are aware, hydropower is, by and large, clean energy with minimal emissions to be reduced. In addition, our industrial base is also negligible and therefore does not offer high potential for reducing emissions. However, with the new mechanisms, especially under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, and the development of new methodologies, other sectors and areas, including waste sector, soil carbon, are becoming increasingly important. On the issue of lack of transparency by project developers, resulting in communities not fully understanding all the details of the transactions, creating potential for exploitation, government is aware of this. However, while some project developers may willingly withhold information from beneficiaries, it is also true that the complexity and abstract nature of the carbon market makes it difficult for some stakeholders, particularly local communities, to grasp all the intricate technical details. And I totally agree with you, Madam Speaker, on your call that as members of Parliament we must research deeper on these issues. In this regard, my ministry has been and will continue educating and raising awareness on the carbon market with the communities. Let me now reflect a bit on the challenges of carbon market as outlined in the report. Madam Speaker, on the finding that there is absence of specific regulatory framework, I wish to confirm that indeed this is a challenge and government is conscious of this fact. In this vein, we are formulating legislation on climate change, and the bill has now reached an advanced stage and it will soon be brought to the House. Madam Speaker, let me conclude by saying that we have taken note of all the concerns and we shall make use of the positive recommendations of your report. With these remarks, Madam Speaker, I support the adoption of the report. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Bwengwa, winding up debate.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Allow me, Madam Speaker, to thank all the honorable members who debated. And let me start also to thank the second of the motion, Honorable Mavonga, then also MP for Kamfisa, Honorable Kangombe, MP for Wapula, Honorable Katotowe, MP for Mfurira, Honorable Mwila, MP for Pambasha, Honorable Stotela, MP for Nyimba, Honorable Menyanzulu, MP for Chilubi, Honorable Fube. Madam Speaker, let me also thank the Minister also for taking note of the recommendations from the Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources. And Madam Speaker, allow me also, at least anyway, to request the honorable members of Parliament that we must be the ones in the forefront to respect our environment. Because I've heard from some of the members of Parliament, these who were debating that they are in the forefront to disrespect our environment. I think we must not be in the front because we are the leaders. And people, those who we lead, they must learn from us. And it is very important that respecting environment is very important because the drought, the climate change here in this world today is real. And already we are losing almost 12 million hectares of land through desertification, and we must work together. And we know quite all right that this topic is very complex and it's very scientific and it is as well very technical. So we must work extra hard, we honorable members of Parliament, that we research more so that we understand it fully. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, let me thank you very much.
Thank you. Order, member for Chilubi, are you going out or sitting down? I put the question. Question is that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Agriculture on the carbon markets and trading in Zambia, opportunities and challenges for the third session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 10th July 2024. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. The clerk will now read the orders of the day.
The Lands Tribunal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2024, committee stage.
I now consolidate orders number 1 and 2, and the House will now resolve into committee.
The Lands Tribunal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2024. Clause 1, short title, any debate, any objection? Clause 1 is agreed to. Clause 2, amendment of section 2. Any debate, any objection? Clause 2 is agreed to. Clause 3, extension of section A. The question is that clause 3 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 3 be amended with the words as circulated.
The question is that clause 3 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate? Any objection? Amendment is agreed to. I put the question. The question is that clause 3, as amended, stands part of the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 3, as amended, is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 4, amendment of section 5. Any debate? Any objection? Clause 4 is agreed to. Clause 5, extension of section 6A. Any debate? Any objection? Clause 5, title. Any debate? Any objection? Long title is agreed to. The bill be reported to the House as having passed through the committee with amendment. We move on to the next bill. The Supplementary Appropriation 2024 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2024. Clause 1, short title. Any debate, any objection? Clause 1 is agreed to. Clause 2, Supplementary Appropriation. The Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Madam Chairperson, it's a procedural point of order from the bill, and we can see the Minister for Lands is here. We've gone to the bill dealing with the finance, and we have not seen the Minister of Finance here. Whose bill are we passing? Who's acting as Minister of Finance? Is it the leader of government business? Or?
Her Honor, the Vice President is the acting leader of finance. Clause 2, supplementary appropriation. Any debate and objection? Clause 2 is agreed to. Schedule on page 4. Any debate and objection? Schedule on page 4 is agreed to. Long title. Any debate and objection? Long title is agreed to. The bill will be reported to the House as having passed through the committee without amendment.
Order, honorable members.
Madam, I have to report to the House that the Committee of the Whole House has gone through the Lands Tribunal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2024 with amendments.
Thank you. Day for consideration of the report.
Madam Speaker, tomorrow, the 17th.
Okay, I was wondering, I thought. Consideration of the report to be taken tomorrow, 17th July 2024. Next order.
Madam, I have to report to the House. The whole House has gone through the Supplementary Appropriation 2024 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2024 without amendment.
Thank you. Day for third reading.
Tomorrow, Madam Speaker.
Third reading of the bill to be taken tomorrow, Wednesday, 17th July 2024. Her Honor, the Vice President. Adjournment. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House The question is that there will be no tea. Order. The question is that the House do now adjourn. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House? Is now adjourned.
Television and business for today has been concluded. Before we end, that's for the House.
Resumed this afternoon at 14:30 hours. The Speaker did make two announcements, and in the first announcement, she did recognize the presence in the gallery of pupils and teachers Trust School in Chamba Valley, Lusaka District.
Madam Speaker also recognized the presence in the public gallery of members of staff at Monster Enterprises Limited in Kalundu, Lusaka, and on behalf of the National Assembly, she warmly welcomed the visitors to the National Assembly.
And in the third announcement, Madam Speaker did inform the House that she will do a planting ceremony on Wednesday 24 at Mutambe Primary School in Mandevu constituency at 10 hours. She did add that the tree planting event that has been organized in collaboration with the Zambia Institute of Public Relations and Communication is part of a tree speakers plant, a tree speaker meant to foster environment. She said that the member of Mandevu constituency and selected the Zambia Parliamentary Caucus on Environment and Climate ECC will accompany the Honorable Speaker to this particular function.
And after the announcement, the House went on to consider questions for oral answer, and this was question number 386, Understanding Order 82, and the question came from Nyimba Member of Parliament, Mr. Menyani Zulu, and he directed his question to the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. And in the first part of the question, he wanted to know whether government is aware that Nyimba and Chama districts have been experiencing erratic water supply in the last 3 weeks, and part B, if so, what the cause of the erratic water supply is in the two districts, and part C, what urgent measures are being taken to prevent an outbreak of waterborne diseases and loss of life. And inform the House that Nyimba and Chama districts have been experiencing erratic last, and part B, what due to the reduction of borehole water yield, and in part C, the urgent measures that are being taken. The minister informed the House that the water utility company is rationing water for 7 hours per day to ensure safe. He added that government will construct a dam in Nyimba with a capacity of 70,000 cubic meters to benefit 1,200 households. He also added that the Eastern Water and Sewerage Company is in the process of drilling two industrial solar-powered boreholes to benefit the people.
Thereafter, the House did consider a motion which was moved by Mr. Mijielo Kasauta, who is a Wenga constituency member of Parliament. The House tried the report of the Committee on Agriculture, the carbon markets and trading in Zambia, opportunities and challenges of the table of the House on
that we had that lapsed, that was supposed to be posed by Barara Member of Parliament, Mr. Musanje, and this is so at the time the question came up in the House, he was not in his seat, so the question lapsed. So the House went on to consider two bills, and this is the Land Tribunal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2024, which was considered at committee stage, and it has gone through without amendments. The other bill that has been considered at committee stage is the Supplementary Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2024, which was also considered at committee stage. It's gone through with no amendments, and the third reading will be taken tomorrow.
Yes, indeed, Pauline. So this is basically the business which was transacted on the floor of the House today, 16th July 2024, and on behalf of my co-presenter Pauline Monga, operators Chola Kawaman, Jason Manda, I am Joe Muyunda Akatama. Have a pleasant afternoon.
can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you. You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
The admission to the inner bar highlights valuable contributions to the legal profession and tireless efforts of upholding the principles of justice and fairness within the Zambian judicial system. It is for this reason that 5 senior lawyers who have distinguished themselves in the practice of the law in the country were admitted to the inner bar on Monday, 17th June 2024 at the Supreme Court by the Honorable Chief Justice Dr. Mumba Malila State Council. Those that were admitted to the inner bar are Speaker of the National Assembly of Zambia, the Right Honorable Ms. Nelly Bikemuti, MP FAPRA, Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Honorable Jack Mwimbu, MP, Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ Chairperson Mrs. Zalomis Mwangala, Mr. Musa Abdullah Ashad, and Mrs. Chibia Sakala. This follows their appointment by His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to the rank and dignity of State Council on 13th March 2024. Speaking after being admitted to the inner bar, Speaker of the National Assembly Ms. Nelly Muti, MP FAPRA State Council, said being conferred with the honor and dignity of State Council is a turning point in her professional career and a reward for many years of hard work, dedication and contribution to the legal profession.
Well, for me, it's added responsibilities. I've been a lawyer for 44 years and now in my 44th year I'm being admitted as State Council. That means more responsibility on me, and also in terms of upholding the rule of law. And since this rank of honor and dignity of State Council means you have to uphold the rule of law, protecting the citizens from unnecessary harassment, and also ensuring that the law is upheld, and also mentoring the young lawyers. And when we talk about mentoring, not only the female but also the male lawyers, because we need to mold our profession so that it continues to uphold very high standards in terms of the professions and expectations from the people. For me, I've already started my mentoring program. I have introduced through the Nelly Moot Foundation a program whereby I give an award to the best graduating female student in each law in the law school, and so far we have given awards to 3 best performing students in the law school. And as I said, we also start looking at how we can mentor the men, because my responsibility is not only to the women, but also as a leader I need to look at both genders. So it's added responsibility, means I have whatever I do now, I'm not just an ordinary lawyer. I have to look at my status as a state counsel, and everything I do, it should be above board, should be dignified, even in terms of how I conduct myself, the things I say, what I wear, everything now has to change. Of course, already I have added responsibilities in terms of being the speaker. So my role as a speaker and the state counsel, then people expect more a high caliber from me as a person, not just as an ordinary citizen. So it's quite exciting. I've waited for this for too long, and in my life all I thought was being a lawyer, once I'm state counsel then I can retire. But now it looks like I'm not retiring, but more added responsibilities have been placed on my shoulders, and I pledge to do my best under the circumstances. It's an ongoing process. We are learning. We expect it to be molded by the state councils that have already been there. We'll learn from them, because learning is an ongoing process. But it's very, very exciting for me, I must say.
Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Honorable Jack Mwimbu MP, said that the admission to the inner bar status comes with enormous responsibilities.
This particular appointment as State Counsel is a privilege on my part, which I must cherish and utilize it for the benefit of the nation. It's a big responsibility on my part to ensuring that I protect the laws of this country as currently in force, and to ensure that the rights of citizens are protected. It is also important to know that this particular confinement has come at a time when I'm serving as Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. The responsibility is greater, for you are aware that this particular ministry deals with the rights of individuals and the associations as they try to exercise their rights that are enshrined in the Constitution. It is therefore incumbent upon me as Minister of Home Affairs, who has been given this privilege of being a State Counsel, to ensure that I utilize this conferment judiciously and in the interest of the nation.
Law Association of Zambia LAZ President Mr. Lungisani Zulu talked about the significance of being admitted to the inner bar.
The inner bar is the highest level of qualification for a lawyer, and this is preserved for members that are called as State Counsel. Every lawyer, when they are being admitted to the bar, have to go through a process of being called to the bar by the Chief Justice. So every lawyer is called to the bar after Ziale. Once you distinguish yourself as an eminent lawyer, as a top-notch lawyer that the state can run to, that can give guidance, you qualify to be appointed as State Counsel. This is a preserve of very few senior members of the legal profession. And those that are then selected and appointed by the President will then go through a process of being called to the inner bar. So today we were seeing the 5 State Counsel who were appointed by the President being formally admitted to the inner bar, so that they can discharge their professional obligations as senior members of the bar, as State Council available to guide in different areas of the law in this country. For us, it's an exciting day because the inner bar presents a leadership that is available not only to the lawyers but to the entire country. So